there are ways to make it work.
People are more attached to dinner, aren't they, than other meals? I don't know why that is.
I actually really love the plate method.
What are the sort of things that you are recommending to your patients in clinical practice that they try and eat for dinner?
Switch out of like the meat for dinner mindset, less meat meals.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I'm joined again today by the beautiful, amazing Jessianna Seville from the Kidney Nutritional Institute. And she has, as you probably know, joined us to talk about all things to eat for dinner if you have kidney disease. We've covered lunch and breakfast. So if you haven't watched those videos, make sure you go down to the videos below and have a look at those. But we thought today we would cover dinner because it's probably the biggest meal of the day, right? And the one that everybody celebrates with family and the one that's got more tradition and ceremony and those sort of things around it. So it's often the one that people spend more time preparing and a bit more, I don't know, people are more attached to dinner, aren't they, than other meals? I don't know why that is.
Yeah, it is very interesting. So yeah, it's dinner is a great, it's a good learning meal, and it is the place where most people gather with their families. And so I just think it's such an important meal to be able to get some great ideas on, because it really, for a lot of people, seems to like make or break their plan for nutrition. Because if they can't make it work with their family, or like everyone else is cooking something else, eventually it ends up being really, really tough for them.
That is so true. And so that is definitely something we should cover because I find this in my MS patients too. They're like, well, we're in control for breakfast and lunch, but dinner, the wife's cooking or the husband cooks. So I've got children. I don't want to make 5 or 6 different meals. So I think that's where, like you say, it's why people fall off the bandwagon. So let's start from the beginning and then we will address some of these things. So walk us through, Jess, what are the sort of things that you are recommending to your patients in clinical practice that they try and eat for dinner?
Perfect. Great question, Fiona, and thanks for letting me be here today. So, when it comes to dinner, we start kind of like, if you pull back and if you see this same principles we talk in our videos, we really like to start by using a very alkaline diet. So, it's something that you guys talk about also in your book. But using an alkaline diet is so, so important, which means that it's very heavy on fruits and vegetables. So in the United States, a few years ago, they switched from like the pyramid to, I don't know, they had some other something or other, I never could understand it, to the plate. And in the plate, they have like half the plate is produce, like fruits and vegetables. And I really like thinking, I actually really love the plate method, where you think about your plate and you're really getting heavy on fruits and vegetables. So for us, people, at least in the United States, and I think in many developed countries, we tend to think about dinner first from a meat standpoint, actually. When you're planning meals, you think, okay, well, like what are we going to have for dinner? Okay, tonight we're going to have chicken. Tonight
100%.
we're going to have
You're so right.
beef. Tonight we're going to have steak. So most people are used to thinking of their meals from the meat standpoint. And when you're shifting towards a kidney friendly diet, we're wanting to shift towards thinking about those vegetables and those produce and those plant-based foods first. And so for us, one of the easiest way to switch out of like the meat for dinner mindset, whatever you want to call it, meat for dinner mindset, is to think about familiar meals that are already based on having less meat, or they're based on having a lot of vegetables. And so one of those meals that we use, and we have a whole list, we call it the less meat meals, and I can talk about that in a minute. But one of those meals that we really like to work from is stir fry, because there's so many amazing nutrition principles just within the principle of learning a stir fry. I think the other thing on dinner, I'll share this great kind of a great way we think about this for people that are switching toward a more alkaline diet, is we love to think about, and I'll give you some examples. I think beyond stir fry, I want to give kind of a breadth of other things people can use, but we like to use what we call them less meat meals. And so less meat meals are meals where meat doesn't have to be the star. So stir fries, what we just talked about. A couple other less meat meals that people are familiar with that they can utilize are things like tacos, for example, right? Tacos can have meat in them, but meat doesn't have to be the star. We should have tacos tonight, because there's so many other things that you build into a taco: lettuce, salsa, tomatoes, guacamole, whatever. So it doesn't have to be the star. So that's a less meat meal. Other less meat meals that people will use are pasta dishes. If people are using pasta, because you can have a lot of vegetables and you put it over a pasta and you don't need as much meat, right? In a pot, so you think like spaghetti and meatballs or spaghetti and meat sauce, you can put tons of vegetables in a sauce and just a tiny bit of meat if you need to cut back. So that's another good example. We've had some people do, if they really are valuing kind of these, what is the right word for it? Like comfort foods, like a chicken pot pie can have tons of vegetables in it and just little meat. Or like quiche can have some egg in it and tons of vegetables in it. So these are what we call less meat meals, where you're not thinking of your plate as the steak, potato, and broccoli, but you're thinking like, what's a mixed meal where meat isn't the star? It's either used just as a flavor and I can swap it out for a plant-based item, or I just don't need to use as much and I can put a lot more vegetables in. So that's the only other thing when you're thinking about your meals, how can you shift to where the vegetables are the star and they're really the big shining place in your meal?
Yeah, no, that's great. And yeah, like you say, there's so many alternatives to be able to do that. Tacos, I think we just sent we're about to send an email out about a kidney-friendly taco recipe. So they are
look for that.
Yes,
yeah,
they are. They're very handy to use. So perfect. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up, Jessianna?
I don't think so. I think that no matter where you're at in your journey, though, if people need like a little bit of a boost of hope, there are ways to make it work. There really are. You can get past those pieces of whether it's my family's not supportive, I'm too busy, whatever. There are ways to make it work so that you can be successful without chronic disease ruling your life. Because we always say food should be part of your life, not your life. and it's something you want to control when you feel like other things are out of control. And it is so important to give time to it, because food is just, it's what nurtures our body. But it doesn't have to be everything in your life, and it can work no matter where you're at. So I mean, I really like, again, back to your point, this mindfulness practice of when you sit down to the meal, of thinking of that meal as nourishing you. If you can sit down to that meal, what are the pieces of this meal that nourish me, that bring me joy? And if you're still feeling frustrated with it, I mean, you can reach out to professionals. You guys have people in your practice, with people in our practice, and we have worked through these things so many times. So we have tools built out that can help people get past that little hump so that they can feel successful and celebrate every meal instead of feel like it's a chore.
Jessianna, thank you so much for joining me again. I know how busy you are, and I always appreciate your brilliant brain and mindset. And so as always, thanks again for joining us. If you want to be notified anytime we put up a new video, make sure you hit subscribe. If there's anything that you would like to ask Jessianna and her team for us to interview or talk about, you can put that in the comments below. If you want to know more about what we do, head to www.kidneycoach.com. You can also find us on Facebook in Facebook.com/Kidney Coach. Thanks again for being part of our community, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.